it was quite chilling, the shift in the Australian excuse me, in the Australian thinking, where the police could now actually shut down essentially a political opposition to a government, or at least try to. I mean, this is something. Excuse me. This is something new in Australia. I don't think we ever really did this before. Actually, I think during the 50s or 60s, we had the referendum and the Menzies during the Cold War, to ban the Communist Party. And, being a liberal, open society at the time, the Australians rejected such a measure. But it was proposed and rejected. Now we've got the actual government, the police, all basically going in that authoritarian direction. And on top of all that, with Victoria, Australia was one of the most draconian reactions in the world when it came to the COVID outbreak. But Victoria in particular was particularly nasty. Why do you think Victoria was particularly bad compared to the rest of the country?
Well, unfortunately, the states seemed to have acted quite independently of each other. And so it really came down to the premier of the state as to how things were run. Scott Morrison, the prime minister, seemed to have no control over the states and the premiers, or at least he didn't try to. He could have, but he didn't. And Daniel Andrews he's a dictator. He's a tyrant. He's a narcissist. And he's also very closely tied with China and the Communist Party. He's had allegedly over 40 visits to China in a short period of time. And as well, he was trying to do business with China with the Belt and Road Initiative, which would have sold off our ports and bridges and some of our roads to China, basically. And Scott Morrison actually had something to say about that. He stopped that. So he does have some power there. But I just think Daniel Andrews, he's a unique fella. And I would go as far as to say that he's evil. And I think he got off on the control aspect of how easily he could control every single person's lives. I mean, you organize a birthday party on a Saturday, and let's say it's a Wednesday. In the back of your mind, you really have no idea if that party was going to go ahead, because at a drop of a hat, Daniel Andrews would change everything, and you would have to change your life around that within a matter of hours. Valentine's Day was cancelled the day before. Restaurants had bought, copious amounts of food and supplies, and it all went to waste just because Daniel Andrews woke up on the wrong side of the bed and decided to do that. So I think it has to do with him primarily. And, things like closing children's playgrounds outside when children have no really risk of this disease, and it wasn't proven to be scientifically effective to close outdoor playgrounds. And these poor children were already not going to school or classes or, karate or anything like that. They were totally isolated from their friends and communities. And then on top of that, they couldn't even go outside to play on the playground. These sorts of measures, I think, are very evil and just a power play. So I think that's why Victoria was the worst, because of Daniel Andrews.